Breaking news, Chiefs fans. Andy Reid does know how to keep his foot on the gas. An outcome we didn't expect today. The Chiefs win, beating the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona in dramatic fashion. Everybody contributed. We have a ton to run down with Matt Derrick. We are live post-game. Welcome to Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, friends and neighbors. One victory down. Matt Derrick is here, up over here from ChiefsDigest.com. Chris is here. I'm here. Thanks for making us your first listen post-game, as well as everything else on the Locked On Podcast Network. You want to check it out because we're for your team every day for free on every platform. We have a lot coming here. Check out the rest of the Locked On Network, including the draft show. For more insight, I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL 33, and RGR Football.
And I'm Chris Clark, founder of Chiefs Corner. He is Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest. Matt, how are you doing today?
Hey, a beautiful fall day in Kansas City. Big Chiefs win. Can anybody be more excited?
I know, right? It's a fantastic game.
I have never been more happy to be excited about being wrong about my pregame prediction. To see not only Patrick, because I feel like Patrick's inkling is to keep his foot down a little bit more, but to just have Andy let him continue to call plays. They're going to put him in that position. The goal line to touchdown to Fortson, I think they could easily just try to take it easy on him.
Which we called at halftime.
Right. Hey, sometimes we know stuff every now and then. Matt, is this a turning of the tide the way this ball game went, or is this just opportunistic in Arizona?
Hey, we'll see. Let's wait and see what happens. I didn't expect anything less than the Chiefs to come out and want to put the hammer down today. I mean, I know a lot of people were talking about scorched earth and Mahomes coming into this week, and it's what he does in week one. So I don't think we should necessarily be completely surprised by it. And, and certainly the Chiefs wanted to make sure that they put this one out of reach, out of way. They didn't want any late drama. So I think that probably explains a little bit about why maybe they were looking for some points later in the game than maybe a lot of people think Andy Reid would. I mean, but I thought that they put the game away appropriately when they needed to. I mean, that was, could they have scored 60? Sure. I mean, today, the way this team was rolling, had they wanted to, they could have run up and down the field all day. But I think what you can expect from this game to continue, however, is brutal efficiency. That's what you want. The Chiefs want to hand out and dish out on a weekly basis. And I think you saw a helping one today.
It's exactly what I'm looking for as well. In a stark contrast to what we saw to begin last season, Patrick Mahomes, 5 touchdowns on the day, 144 quarterback rating, no interceptions, no rushing passes. When he did make those kind of like ad-lib plays, I felt like they were much more controlled than we saw to start last season when some of those balls went up for grabs and were either turned over or dropped or whatever it was. Much cleaner output today. Do you disagree?
I don't disagree at all. And one of the things that I thought was particularly impressive is that, clearly Mahomes was affected today with that left hand. And at times, we have seen him when he's taken a hit early or anything like that, and he's nursing an injury. Sometimes he gets a little hesitant with it, or he wants to guard it a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I think you certainly saw him wanting to make sure he wasn't landing on that hand, and he was taking some care that way. But other than that, that dude stood in there in the pocket all day long, and he took a lot of punishment. I mean, more punishment than the Chiefs would prefer to have him to have taken. He did a really good job of sticking in the pocket, though. I mean, you didn't see him running a lot, and you saw him doing with what the Chiefs want to do this year, which is just distribute the football, get the ball to the open receiver, and beat teams that way. I mean, and they took some shots downfield. They were well-timed and appropriate, and a lot of times probably connect. There was maybe a little bit of confusion on that first play with Hardman and Fortson laying out the kind of the same spot that probably affected that ball. But they were just barely off on the second ball to Hardman. They're going to hit some of those, and fans love those. But at the same time, if you're going to just go up and down the field, 11 plays, 75 yards, 5.5 minutes, most of the game, take that.
Absolutely.
And the thing that I loved about it was you distribute the ball to 9 different people. I mean, 9 different
targeted
Watson
receptions.
Too. Yeah. So 10 targets, 10 different targets. Moving the ball around as much as they did, I think that's a fantastic sign for what this offense could be. And I absolutely loved, and I tweeted about this, I loved what I saw from Gray on that first down that led to the touchdown later, I think in the third quarter. He moved, he shaded into the zone. He found where Mahomes was running and tried to find an open spot to give his QB a chance to get him the ball, and it got him a first down. And I think that's him growing from where he was this time last year.
At the end of the day, this team was efficient. They scored on 70% of their possessions, obviously 6 touchdowns, and the field goal. We'll talk later about who's kicking the field goals these days. Very interesting game from that. But to start off this game, Andy Reid made me very happy, came out, wanted to run the ball, wanted to start it early. It wasn't that much more efficient as the game wore on. I think first half there was, 16 carries was the total. At the end of the day, they were efficient in the way that they moved it. Clyde finished with I want to say it was 6.2 yards per carry. That's a good clip that can get you down the field in helping the quarterback, protect that hand. But hopefully this is that, and the 3 tight end thing is a glimpse of what this offense is going to look like. I felt, for being different, Matt, it looked very efficient, like you said, but it also looked like they're able to build on what we saw today.
Yeah, and and certainly looked like they were wanting to establish the ground game a little bit early, just so you slow down that defense a little bit and make sure that they're not forgetting about the run. And and being able to do that early on that first drive, I think certainly helps open up some things, and it certainly seemed to work to expectations on Sunday, as far as just running the ball efficiently early. Because after that, to a point, they were just tossing the football around. Mahomes had the 12 straight completions, and they were moving the ball at will, and they were managed to go back and kind of do Chiefs football again. Second half, score gets out of line, then you go back and kind of run the football a little bit more, and Pacheco was in there late. One thing I found really interesting, at least from the first half numbers, though, something that we've seen in the past in the last couple of seasons with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, when he's in there, if he's in the game, 50-50 chance he's getting the football. That's just the way it is with the Chiefs. If he's in the game, there's a 50-50 chance the ball's coming his way, whether it's on the ground or in the passing game. And that didn't change today. It was kind of the same predictability. That's something that I think they still need to get away from a little bit when Clyde is in the ball game. But other than that, there was nothing to critique, and they certainly on the ground accomplished what they wanted to.
I think the big thing for me with Clyde is you got him involved in the passing game so much more than I've seen him involved in the past couple of seasons. And I think that's huge for this team, because if they can continue to keep him involved in the passing game and get him, the ball running, then you make him a dual threat type running back. And I think that's exactly who he should be. And then you have a guy like Pacheco. And Matt, I loved what you tweeted about how many long runs this team has had over the past couple of seasons, and then how many they had today.
Yeah, this team last year, they really only had one what you call long run. Derek Gore had that 51-yard touchdown run. But other than that, the Chiefs only had 5 runs from running backs last year of 18 or more yards. 5 runs all season. They had 4 against the Cardinals, and 2 of them were from Pacheco. You're occasionally going to want the 75-yard run to break out, and that's something that the Chiefs haven't had the last couple of seasons. But there was a lot more explosiveness in the run game today than we saw from last year. And, the thing is that when you get some 18-yard chunk plays and 19-yard chunk plays, eventually one of those is going to turn into a 65-yard run. You're going to get those. So that was definite improvement, I thought, today.
Had no argument for me. We have to get into the nuts and bolts, who did what and who's going to do what, because there are some concerns here, especially on the injury front. After we tell you about our newest pals, they're going to help you help yourself. Help us.
Everybody likes to go buy nice things for their lady and buy jewelry for their lady. And the last thing you possibly want is to have a special occasion ruined because you do something to the ring and you lose it. Maybe you drop it in water, or maybe, you just do something to damage it. But BriteCo is here to help you with that. You need to go check these guys out. You don't want to be that guy that does something to the ring that you've bought for this special woman in your life, and you certainly don't want to have it splattered all over the internet. The guys at BriteCo Jewelry Insurance will make sure you get a replacement for the full value of that ring, no matter if it's lost or stolen, or you just can't figure out what happened to it. Go to Brite.co/locked on. It's the fastest and easiest way to cover your butt with the best jewelry insurance in the business. These guys at BriteCo are geniuses. They made buying insurance for your engagement ring, your watch, or whatever so freaking easy. You can do it covered in 2 minutes on your cell phone. You won't find a better deal on great coverage that's super affordable. Brite.co/locked on. We all hate insurance. These guys at BriteCo turn the whole experience around. Please go check them out. You have to see the video. BriteCo has a bunch of these hilarious videos that you can see for yourself at Brite.co/locked on.
Now, hilarious videos is what I call when you continue to just maul people. I thought the offensive line looked pretty good, particularly the interior three, but that leads us to the big question mark. Trey Smith, we believe it's an ankle. Matt, do you have any update on that at this point?
So all we've got so far is that it's an ankle, and I didn't see precisely when it happened. I mean, that typically is going to happen. Maybe you get rolled over on that. So it's what I'm assuming happened there. Maybe he got stepped on. But it's a tough turnaround. I mean, I know he did come out and he loosened up a little bit on the sidelines. Maybe that's a good sign. Didn't re-enter the game. Maybe he could have. We'll find out later. But definitely something to monitor, because when you're turned around on a short week on a Thursday, all of these injuries are going to be really, really tough for the Chiefs.
And unfortunately, you have a ton of them to talk about. Trey Smith's the only one. You have Noah Gray was nursing an injury late in the game, but still playing. Butker, I got to give Butker props really quick for the injury he had, because I did see the replay of that. For him to come out and make that 54-yard field goal on a one step and just do it with all leg, that's impressive. Thank you, Harrison. I wonder if he ends up going on IR, because they're going to have to make some kind of move at this point, I would think.
The fact that he kicked the rest of the day, does that indicate anything to you, Matt?
I mean, it's a good sign. I mean, the tough thing about injuries like that, I think is that the next day is usually worse than the day of. So that would be the only concern, especially with a short turnaround week, that might be a problem. But the fact that he was able to go out there and hit that 54-yard on basically one leg, I mean, you saw the run up to it. I mean, it was not his traditional stance into a field goal try. So that was pretty peculiar. But I've also seen Harrison take that kick in practice before. So he's worked on that as far as the timing goes. So I wasn't surprised that he was able to execute that. But yeah, I mean, you've got the numbers as far as Justin Reed goes. I mean, he can help you out on kickoffs and maybe even PATs if you need it. So if you had to go into a game with just Harrison Butker as only your field goal kicker, if you're the Chiefs, I think you're feeling comfortable about that. But it wouldn't surprise me if on a short week they didn't bring in somebody on Monday to maybe put him on the practice squad just in case.
Yeah, I have to think so as well. You want to be able to make sure that you're fully manned when you need it. And it's nice to have that insurance. On the offensive side, I think you want to be fully manned as well. And nothing said more than what we would have been expecting about the distribution pattern of this game, in that so many targets were there. Kelsey being Kelsey, being the highest target, the most yardage here, that's not a surprise. For Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or Quez, sorry, folks, to be somewhat, I think, second fiddle to Juju was a surprise to some, but I felt that like they were both very productive in what they did. I felt that they found the holes in the zones that they needed to present themselves to Mahomes in order to get in a rhythm. This felt like a very foundational building regular season game for me. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I think you're completely right. And, in this game, in that respect, I think was pretty indicative of what Mahomes was warning us about when he talked about spreading the football around. And it's not even necessarily game to game, but maybe drive to drive, half to half, quarter to quarter. I mean, you saw that Juju Smith-Schuster had a big first half. Ball went some other places in the second half. They did some different things. There's probably a little bit of adjustments from some of the Cardinals, putting a little bit more emphasis on Juju in the second half. But the one thing that just amazed me more than anything, I mean, one is that the big question was going to be with Travis, how's he going to perform when he's just the guy? And, one, there was no drop off. I mean, Travis was Cat Travis. I mean, it was day ends with a letter Y. So Travis Kelce has a 100-yard receiving day. But, the other part of it, too, is a little bit of what was Arizona thinking? I mean, I still do not know how you ever let Travis Kelce get wide open ever. I mean,
and they did it multiple times.
It's a testament to Kelce. I mean, it's his route running. He does it. I mean, even when people are trying to double cover you and they're trying to give you all the attention in the world, and Travis Kelce still beats you. I mean, that's a testament to just how good this guy is.
It really is. Longevity is one thing, but just that ability to accelerate still being there at his age, you got to think that he's got way more in the tank, and hopefully all this other triple tight end stuff will allow to take some of that pressure off. That helps. The other thing that helps is getting the defense involved so you can take the pressure off the offense. Not that they needed it today, but it does help them. We're going to talk about this defense, where it's going, and what the rookies did after we tell you about our newest sponsor, PrizePicks, because this is the coolest way to do daily fantasy. If you haven't done it yet, you're missing out, because I took Mahomes to do the over. It was simple pick. All you have to do is pick 2 to 5 players and pick their over under. PrizePicks will set their line. Mahomes was at 330 yards, I think it was. I took the over and I cashed in, and that's the way that goes. It makes life easy because you can win up to 10 times your entry on a singular bet. No competing against other people, no setting or changing lineups. A simple 2 to 5 picks of over under makes your life simple. You can do it for any sport, all the way down to cricket, which someday someone will explain to me how that's played, but not today. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. Super simple. They're fast and safe withdrawals, and operation is in 30 states plus Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to PrizePicks.com and sign up to play daily fantasy sports. First-time users get 100% deposit in addition to there. So you put in 100, you get 100. Same thing with 50, on and on and on. All you have to do to get that is use the promo code Locked On. So go to PrizePicks.com and use that code Locked On to get double your deposit. Now, doubling down on my deposit on this draft certainly paid off, because while I'm very concerned to hear about a soft tissue injury for Trent McDuffie, whose name not being called more is really indicative of the day that he was having. But then obviously we saw Karlaftis get in there very early. I know they didn't list him as a starter, but he was out there, third snap, if I remember right. I didn't get to see it live, but I was listening. Then you easily saw Chanel come in early in the game, as well as the overhang out of the base. I thought he looked fine as well. You saw Brian Cook late. Then you got to when McDuffie had to leave, it was Jalen Watson who came in and I think held his own. He has a speed disadvantage against Marquise Brown. But Matt, on the defensive side of the ball, how did the rookies hold up in your opinion this first ball game?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit on it when you're talking about Trent McDuffie, but really about a lot of the rookies across the board, you didn't hear them. So that's honestly on defense, that's usually what you want. I mean, especially when you get so many young guys in the secondary and at the linebacker level. I mean, you'd prefer not to be hearing those guys' names. The Karlaftis, I thought had a really, I mean, you saw what he's going to do. I mean, we saw him in practice, both in OTAs and during training camp. He's going to knock down plenty of passes at the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's just very good at getting his arms up. He's got a lot of length. So you're going to see him knock down some passes. I think that's just the beginning of the end. And you saw the furious George. You saw his motor on display and everything. So that I thought was pretty good. And Jalen Watson coming in there at the end, I think that was pretty promising as well. Another guy that the one time even you heard his name was because he was making a play. And I was very surprised that once again, the Cardinals weren't exploiting those matchups very much. And you got to figure that the Chargers will take a little bit different approach, especially if McDuffie is banged up and it's Watson or Josh Williams that's getting more of those reps out there. You got to think they're going to target that guy in particular if they're on the field. So, I mean, let's see what happens. This was a promising beginning, I think, for that entire rookie class from beginning to end. Because was there a rookie who played today that didn't perform well? I mean, about probably the biggest quibble I could say was Pacheco had that fumble that he had to recover there at the end of the game. But even then, I mean, he had a couple of nice runs, the touchdown. Chanel, as you noted, played well. So for this rookie class, I thought it was pretty good outing. And more importantly, they're all playing on special teams, too. And you didn't see any mistakes. If anything, I saw a couple of nice moves from Sky Moore on a couple of his runs. I think there's some explosiveness there. You didn't see them have any breakdowns on special teams. I think that's really encouraging as well.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really sticks out to me is you saw Watson get beat on that touchdown to Brown. I do think that you're right, Matt. I think that that's something that they're going to look at picking on. If McDuffie is not playing, they will go try and attack Watson, and that's expected. I think that it made a lot of sense that Murray made that throw to Hollywood Brown on the end zone.
It was a perfect pass. Yeah,
it was a perfect pass.
Perfect route.
Right. No, it was fantastic on their part. What I will say, though, is watching this game and watching what the Chiefs were going to do, I don't really care about the last touchdown. I know it's going to count, when they're scoring defense and everything. That was a touchdown at that point, and honestly, really probably the last two touchdowns that they allowed the Cardinals. Neither of those touchdowns that I think they would have probably given up had they actually been trying to get after the Cardinals. I think they went into more of a prevent defense at that point, and that made a lot of sense. So you give them the yards, you let them score a touchdown if they're going to drive it for 75, 80 yards, and they're going to burn the clock, and that's exactly what happened. So I thought the defense played really well today for most of the entire game. I know there's a couple things we talked about at halftime, but they kept Kyler Murray in check. They kept him to where he wasn't really using his legs to beat this team, and that was a concern of mine going into this game. I didn't think it was going to cost Kansas City the game, but it was still a concern. And that is a positive sign, especially considering you're going to be dealing with other mobile QBs that can move and that can run, and, you know, a Josh Allen and a Russell Wilson and you know, those types of guys are going to be going.
It's interesting. 5 scrambles for 29 yards, so under 6 yards a carry. On usually a guy that breaks off long runs. They corralled him. I think despite getting, you know, a little beat up in the run game, I think that's clearly the trade-off that they're willing to make. That was designed, and I think it was also designed to kind of help the interior defenders. It ended up Nick Bolton led the team in tackles, a combined of 10. But most of the day, it was L'Jarius Sneed out there with the guy that had the most action going on. To have those two players in their youth be leading this defense, I think that says a lot about where this is the starting point and really what the ceiling's going to be, Matt.
Yeah, I'm just upping my numbers on Nick Bolton for the season by the week. This guy's going to put up tremendous numbers this year. I mean, he's going to be a contender to lead the league in tackles. I mean, he's just that good, and he's an ascending player. So to me, that's a good sign. The thing about Sneed is that, one, I was surprised that Arizona was throwing the ball so many times in his direction. But 2, he was making plays, and also just making plays because, you know, Steve Spagnuolo was putting him in those spots. I mean, and that sequence on that first Arizona drive to me is indicative of just how well those two guys play together. First, you get Bolton that gets Murray on the ground short of the first down on that scramble, and then Sneed gets the sack on the 3rd down blitz. I mean, that's just the 2-play sequence right there about how good those guys are. But, you know, one thing that stands out to me, and it was, I wanted this to be about a compliment to the defense, but it actually is turning out to be a compliment to the entire team. Look at the 3rd quarter. That was where the Chiefs had some problems last year, especially with either letting teams sneak back in or giving up some leads, anything like that. Outscore Arizona 14-0 in the 3rd quarter. But on top of that, 137 yards on 12 plays. It's better than 11 yards a play on offense. And on defense, 16 plays, 60 yards. It's fewer than 4 yards a play in the 3rd quarter. That was absolutely a dominating performance. So to me, you look at the halftime adjustments that were made. Chiefs won those too. 4th quarter doesn't matter. I mean, by that time, the game was over. 37-7, excuse me, at the end of the 3rd quarter. That game was over. So, I mean, to me, that 3rd quarter tells more than anything else about this game.
Yeah. I mean, and against Kyler Murray, they started the ball game with 3 and outs on 2 out of the first 3 drives. They started the second half with 3 and outs on 2 of the first 3 drives. That says it all in just shutting him down. Now, Nuke is on the field. We can talk about that next time. Luckily, they don't have to worry about that. They do have to worry about the Chargers, who were in a fist fight today. We're going to get to more of that tomorrow, folks. We're going to get to the pressers. Let Matt do his thing. Thank you for being with us live on YouTube. Like and sub and hit the bell if you are here. And if you're listening on audio, you might want to check it out next time. We did a little time show for you as well. We might continue that. We want to know your feedback and your thoughts on this ball game in the comments and in the Spotify and Apple podcast reviews. So thank you for your time, Matt. Thanks for jumping on with us real fast. And folks, enjoy your Monday of victory for the Kansas City Chiefs over the Arizona Cardinals.